that are at the same horizontal level, the rope remains at an angle theta, which is tan inverse 3/4 with the horizontal at the nails. And its middle portion is a distance of h, okay, below the horizontal line A. Okay, a small bead is threaded in the rope and it is released from the rest at position A. A bead slides down the rope without any friction. If the bead is so light that the slope of the rope remains unaffected, that is the shape of the rope remains unaffected as the bead slides down the rope. So we need to find acceleration of the bead at the lowest position of the rope. Okay, the rigidity of the rope can be neglected.
Is the rope frictionless?
Yes.
Is the rope frictionless?
Yes, the rope is frictionless. It's mentioned in the question that the rope is frictionless.
Okay, sorry.
Sir.
Yes.
Sir, in yesterday there was a question, sir, about a fraction of balls which will cross 100,000 ml mark.
Right.
We had two assumptions. One was all the balls are uniformly distributed, and other one was the greater the speed, lesser the balls stay there.
Yeah.
So which assumption should we consider, sir?
We should consider the second assumption.
Second one.
Yeah, because see, the fraction of balls will depend upon how much time the balls will spend at what region of the container.
Okay.
Sir?
Yes.
Sir, can we say at the lowest point the bead will have two acceleration, one along the vertical and another along horizontal?
At the lowest point of the bead?
There will be centripetal acceleration and tangential acceleration.
Yeah, normally any body undergoing two-dimensional motion can have two accelerations, so centripetal acceleration and tangential acceleration. And
So
you can think accordingly.
Yes, sir. Sir, we can write tangential acceleration as tension equal to m into a.
Tangential acceleration is?
T equal to ma, sir. Like the tension at that point, horizontal tension equal to ma.
But the bead, will it experience a tension?
It shouldn't experience a tension.
But the tension is something which will act on the rope, no? Not on the bead.
Okay.
Sir, do we know the equation of the ropes?
No, that is actually not given. Only it's given, length of the rope is given. Length is given and distance of the lowest level from the horizontal level AB is given.
Yes.
And angle theta is given. Angle that the rope makes at AB with the horizontal line AB, that theta is also given.
Yes.
Sir, sir, like by Work-Energy theorem, we can say that like at any depth x from that horizontal line AB, sir, we can say that the velocity of the bead will be equal to root 2gx, no sir.
Yes, yes,
I mean v square equal to 2gx, no sir.
yes.
So now if we differentiate both sides with respect to time, sir, we'll get,
Both sides with respect to time.
yes sir, we'll get 2v into dv by dt will be equal to 2g into dx by dt, no sir.
Okay.
So now at the lowest point dx by dt will be 0, no sir.
Yes.
So can't we say that the acceleration will be 0, sir?
Acceleration, but see, what is dv by dt? Actually, is dv by dt acceleration or it's only part of acceleration?
Sir, okay.
dv by dt is only
It's
part
only
of
tangential acceleration.
tangential acceleration is dv by dt.
Yes, sir.
So you can say that tangential acceleration is 0 at first point.
Yes, sir. Sir, so we can say that centripetal acceleration will be equal to v square by. Okay, we need to find radius of curvature, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Sir?
Yes.
Sir, if we know the equation of the trajectory, how to find the radius of curvature, sir?
Equation of trajectory. Okay, so if you know the equation of trajectory of any curve, then radius of curvature at any point can be determined by there is a formula in mathematics.
Yes, sir. 1 plus y dash square into power 3 by 2 by y double dash.
Yes, 1 plus dy by dx whole square, whole power 3 by 2 by d square y by dx.
Okay, sir.
Sir, sir, we can consider the bottom element as a part of a circle, and we can from that we can find the radius of curvature, right, by balancing forces for that element.
Bottom element, yes, actually any small element can be considered to be a part of a circle of some radius, and that radius will be the radius of curvature.
Yes, sir,
It
and that for that, so
it doesn't have
for
to
the
be bottom
bottom
element.
element we can write force equation. So like 2t sine for alpha, like that, the vertical component we can balance the weights.
Yes, yes. What will you take as alpha?
like if you assume some size element of d alpha, sir, subtending at the center, sir,
Okay.
then the mass of that element will be lambda is the linear density, lambda into
Yeah.
rd alpha into g.
Yeah.
That will be equal to 2t into sine d alpha.
2t into sine d alpha.
And t defined by writing Force equation for the whole row.
Yeah.
Sir? Hello, sir.
Yes.
Is the answer 9g by 16?
9g by
16 in the
16.
positive y direction.
Positive y direction. Okay.
Yes.
What did you do?
Sir, I assume that like this is a parabola equation. It need not be
But how
parabola
we are able to say it's a parabola only?
Sir, it has to be some like trigonometry or exponential function.
Yeah, but how can we be so sure that it should be parabola only?
Sir, we are getting exponential.
I couldn't hear you clearly. Can you repeat?
Sir, we are getting exponential functions. I'm getting exponential.
Exponential curve you are getting. Okay.
Yes, sir. I took AB as x-axis, sir.
Okay.
And downward I took as y-axis, sir.
Y-axis. Okay.
Now we know tension in the string at a point A, no, sir, in a direction also.
Yeah.
That we can know by taking half of the string and then equating.
Okay.
Now, suppose I'm taking at a distance x from point A, sir.
But
Along
sir,
x-axis.
Okay.
Based on that, according to that, I took at that point tension is some new t dash, sir.
Okay.
And length of that part we can find by integrating integral 1 plus dy by dx whole square into dx, no, sir, from 0 to x.
Okay.
Root 1 plus I left it like that only, sir, as an integral.
Okay.
Now mass will be m by l into the length of that string till there, no, sir.
M by L into length of the string till there.
Till that point, I took that integral, no, sir. That integral into m by l will be mass of that part of string which I took.
Okay. Okay.
Now I took tension again at that point and I equated tension, sir. Now we know mass also, no, sir. Mass of that part of the string.
Okay.
Then again, once I differentiated, so then I got a differential equation.
Okay.
In that differential equation, I directly got root 1 plus y dash whole square equals to 4l by 3 into y double dash.
Okay. So we got a differential equation in dy by dx and d square by dx.
Yes, sir. But radius of trajectory will be root 1 plus dy by dx whole power 3 by 2 by y double dash only, no, sir.
1 plus dy by dx whole square whole power 3 by 2 by d square by dx.
Yes, sir. But I already got that 1 plus dy by dx whole square under root by y double dash ratio only I directly got, sir.
Okay.
And at the lowest point, we can consider that dy by dx is equals to 0, no, sir.
Yes. Yes.
So both of them will be equal, no, sir. Power 3 by 2 and power 1 by 2. Doesn't matter, no, sir.
Okay.
So without solving that equation only, we can say that.
Okay.
So radius of trajectory also I'm getting, sir, based on.
Okay. So you're getting like an exponential curve and like based on that you are able to find radius of curve.
Yes, sir. But it is coming out to be lengthy, sir, like to solve.
Sir,
Takes a lot.
if
So
we
we can
go
do-
how Vishal did, sir, we are getting some equations, right? Like we are getting radius of curvature as L cot theta at that point.
L cot theta at that point,
Yes, at the lowest points.
at the lowest point. So that means at lowest point theta is 0.
No, sir, theta is the initial theta, so angle made by.
Okay. L cot theta where cot theta is 4 by 3.
Yes, sir.
Sir, we can show that it is a parabola. Like we have work energy equation, sir.
Mm-hmm.
We can like we can take distance from the top as y,
Hmm.
and the velocity will be tangential, no, sir, to that curve.
Yes, yes.
So we can assume like this curve is some function of x.
Okay.
So we can say mgy equal to half m into v square.
Okay.
So we can write as dy by dx, no sir.
Yeah.
So we'll get y equal some ky equal
Sir,
to
how can we write v as dy
We
by
can write
dx?
as no, we can't write dy by dx.
k
See,
into
we
dy
can
by
only
dx.
write dy.
K
dy
into
equal to dy by dx.
Yes sir, like
Velocity in y direction is there, no? That we can write as dy by dx. dy by dt we can write.
okay, dy by dt, sir.
Yeah, dy by dt. That will be velocity in y direction.
Okay.
Okay, so let us just take a look at that situation. The total length is given to be L. Length of the rope or string here is given to be L. Okay, and the bead is allowed to slide from here. So it slides down like freely without any friction. And it's also given that the bead is having a negligible mass, very low mass. So it is not going to affect the shape of the string as it slides down. So the string or the rope will remain the same as how it is now. Okay, so all we need to do is to find the acceleration of bead at lowest position. We should first find what is the velocity of bead at lowest position. The velocity at lowest position we will get simply by work energy theorem. I think we can say velocity at lowest position. It should just be 2gh. Okay. So after finding velocity at the lowest position, we can definitely see that there will not be any tangential acceleration, because if the bead is having some mass, its weight will act downwards, and normal force due to the rope on the bead will act upwards. Okay, even though there may be some normal force, it may be a negligible force, but even then also that force is going to act upwards and mg will act downwards. So in such a situation, like there is no horizontal force acting on the bead at its lowest position. So that means there cannot be any tangential force at that instant. So which means the tangential acceleration is 0 here, and only acceleration is normal acceleration, which will be nothing but v square by radius of curvature. Okay, so in order to find acceleration of the bead at the lowest position, we can try to find what will be radius of curvature at the lowest position. Okay, so once we get radius of curvature at lowest position, we are as good as done with normal acceleration. Okay, so in order to find radius of curvature, first of all, what we can do is we will consider this section, half section of the string. Okay, I'll take half section of the string and just rewrite and show you more in detail. I'm writing like forces, how they are going to act. There will be one tension T0 acting here, and let's say there is some tension TF. And this TF force will act at an angle theta. The TF force is acting at an angle theta, and T0 is acting horizontally. Tension T0 is acting horizontally. Okay, so tension T0 is balanced by TF's horizontal component. So the equation will be TF cos theta equal to T0. Okay, and in vertical direction, like we can say that if this whole rope, it is having a mass m, it is having a mass m, then mass per unit length, we can consider lambda as m by l. Okay, lambda for the rope will be m by l. Okay, so if lambda is mass per unit time, now mass of this half section of the rope will be m by 2. So its weight mg by 2 will be acting downwards. So vertical component of TF should be balancing the weight mg by 2. Okay, vertical component we can say is balancing mg by 2. So we will get TF sin theta equal to mg by 2.
You can get T naught from here.
Yeah, so if we divide these two equations, like we will get T naught in terms of mg. So dividing both the equations, we will get like cot theta equal to T naught by mg. Or that gives you T naught is equal to mg by 2 cot theta. Okay, so tension acting at this position. Okay, tension acting at this position, that comes out with mg by 2 cot theta. Okay, of course you can find the tension at this position also by using the same equations. Okay. So what we can do next is okay. Let us now consider some general section of the spring. Like we can take some section of the spring like this. I'll take a small section of spring of length dl, and which has horizontal projection of it is dx. I'll take this as the x-axis, and this is y-axis, and this is origin. Okay, I'm taking midpoint of the rope as origin, y-axis and x-axis is right. So the horizontal projection of the small section is dx, and its length is dl. Okay, let us suppose that this section of length dl, it makes an angle alpha with the horizontal. Makes an angle alpha. Okay. So now tensions acting on these sections here. Like the thing is here, alpha will not be actually constant. Actually, alpha will be varying. In fact, we can say if you draw a tangent at this position and you draw a tangent at this position, at these two positions, the angle that tangent makes with the x-axis will be different. If angle made by tangent over here is alpha 1, then angle over here will be alpha 2. Okay, and similarly
Alpha plus alpha.
Yeah, or we can say alpha plus d alpha. Right? Okay, so if the angle over here is alpha, then angle over here we can consider as alpha plus d alpha.
Similarly for tension also we can say that only.
Similarly for tension also we can say that. Like if tension is T here, then tension over here will be T plus T2. T plus. Right? So tension is changing slightly as you move along the x direction. Tension is slightly changing by dt, and angle is slightly changing by d alpha. Okay, but one thing we can definitely say is that the T cos alpha must be equal to T plus dt into cos alpha plus d alpha.
Yes, horizontal.
That is because in horizontal direction the forces we are balancing. Like if you balance forces in horizontal direction, there are only components of tension which we should consider. So these two forces must be equal. Now this is going to be true for any element. So that means I can say that this T cos alpha product, okay, should be a constant. At any point you can say that product of tension and cos alpha should be same throughout the string. Okay, this is one thing we can say. Right? So from this what we can do. Okay, so if I differentiate this, I will be just getting something like T dt into cos alpha plus T into sin alpha d alpha equal to 0. dt into cos alpha plus T into minus sin alpha into d alpha will be 0. So we will get dt by T. Okay, that can be written as it will be nothing but tan alpha into dl. So dt by d comes out to be equal to tan alpha into d alpha. So we can integrate this. Integration can be like done from 0 to alpha, and here I can do from t0 to t. Okay. Integration limits I'm taking t0 to t because we are starting from here, because at midpoint at the lowest position tension is t0, and as we move from the lowest position tension changes. So here we get ln of t by t0. That is equal to integration of tan alpha is ln of secant alpha. Right? So ln of secant alpha. Substitute limits, you will get ln of secant alpha only, because 0 and alpha, if you substitute, you will get ln of secant alpha only. Okay, so therefore you will get t by t0 equal to secant alpha. Okay, or t equal to t0.
Sir, that we could have said without like integration also, no, sir?
Yeah. Yes, but otherwise also in general we will get this relation. Okay.
Yes.
Because horizontally the forces are going to be equal, because t cos alpha should be equal to t0 at any point of time. Okay. Now another thing we can do now is that if I take like in vertical direction, for the same element,
t sin theta.
Vertical direction, we can say that there will be a t sin alpha force acting downwards and a t sin alpha. So for any element, you will have t sin alpha downwards and t plus dt into sin alpha plus d alpha upwards. And mg of that element also will be acting downwards. So we can therefore say that if you balance forces in vertical direction, you will get d of t sin alpha equal to element of dm into g. What is d of t sin alpha? Here d of t sin alpha is a small change in t sin alpha. Here at this end, like the force acting in the vertical direction is t sin alpha. At this element, it will be t plus dt into sin of alpha plus d alpha. So that that difference we can consider as d of t sin alpha, which is equal to, which is going to be same as this expression. Here we can write t also as t naught secant alpha. Okay, like t naught secant alpha. So this is same.
So that is d of t tan alpha.
D of t naught tan.
T naught tan.
Okay, tan alpha. That is equal to, now dm we can write as lambda into dl into g. Mass of the element is lambda into dl. dl is length of the element. So t naught into tan alpha, differential of this. So this is same as t naught into tan alpha's differentiation. We can write as secant square alpha d alpha is equal to lambda dl into. Okay. Okay. So in this relation, we have d alpha is a change in angle. Okay. So the angle position is changing with this, and here dl we can write. dl we can also write as dx secant alpha. dl is same as dx secant alpha. Okay, so if you relate that, you will get t naught into secant square alpha into d alpha. That is equal to lambda into dx secant alpha into g. Lambda g into dx secant alpha. So you will cancel off one secant alpha. So you will get t naught by lambda g. T naught by lambda g, that should be equal to dx by secant alpha. Okay.
So d alpha is also this.
Yes, dx by secant alpha into dl. dx by d alpha into secant. Okay, so this is a relation we get of dx and secant alpha. Okay. But here we can also say that since we got a relation between t and alpha, okay, and t and alpha relation has come out this way. So the tension is string at any point we have got. But we know radius of curvature is given by this expression. It is 1 plus dy by dx whole square whole power 3 by 3 by d square by dx. Okay, but here dy by dx whole square is nothing but tan alpha whole square, tan square alpha. So it's actually 1 plus tan square alpha, which is the same as a secant square alpha. So this is actually same as secant cube alpha. Okay, secant cube alpha by d square by dx.
That denominator we'll write as d by dx of tan alpha. Yes.
Yes, the denominator can be written as d by dx of tan alpha. Okay, that can be written as d by dx of tan alpha. Okay, so here it is the same as secant square alpha or secant cube alpha. Secant cube alpha by d by dx of tan alpha, or which is same as secant cube alpha by d by dx of tan alpha will be nothing but secant square alpha into d alpha by dx. Okay, but here we have dx by d alpha. So that is we can write dx by d alpha in terms of r. In terms of r. So that means if you take this d alpha by dx from the other side, then we get dx by d alpha. Okay, that dx by d alpha can be written as secant alpha by r. So dx by d alpha, sorry, d alpha by dx, not dx by dx. D alpha by dx will be secant alpha by r. Okay. So here we have dx by d alpha, that should be nothing but r by secant alpha. So we get r by secant square alpha. Okay, r by secant square alpha will be equal to t naught by lambda.
So t naught also we can write as mg by 2 cot theta.
Yes, that we can use, which we have found out earlier. So we have t naught by lambda g, that is equal to r by secant square. Okay, and t naught we already found out that is to be nothing but mg by 2. It is mg by 2 into cot theta. Okay, so it is mg by 2 into cot theta whole divided by lambda can be written as mg into l. Lambda here is m by l. So m by l will be m by l into g. That should be r by secant. Okay, so m will get cancelled because we are not given what is m in this question. So m is basically getting cancelled here, and so therefore you will just get l cot theta by 2. Okay, l cot theta by 2. Okay, equal to r by secant square alpha. So what we have got here is a general expression for r. This is not what we want to get. Okay, but I think this will help because we want to find what is radius of curvature when alpha is 0. Alpha is the angle that the section of the string makes with the horizontal, and that is 0 here. So if I take alpha as 0 here, you will get r equal to l cot theta. Okay, so at the lowest position. Okay, at lowest position. R equal to l cot theta by 2. That will come out to be equal to, we will take cot theta as 4 by 3. Okay, so it should come out to be 12.
Yes.
12. So r comes out to be 12 by 3. Okay, so you can use this value for calculating what is normal or acceleration. The normal acceleration. The normal acceleration is v square by r. V square by rc. So that should be equal to 2gh by this 12. 2gh by 12. Okay, so I think that comes out to be 3gh by l.
Sir, I think we can even find the trajectory, sir, because that T naught by lambda is equal to dx into secant alpha d alpha.
Yeah, I think, since we have got a relation for d alpha by dx here,
Yes.
d alpha by dx in terms of r, because r we are able to get in terms of secant square alpha, and you can write secant square alpha as root over 1 plus dy by dx whole square.
Yes.
Right? So that gives you a relation in alpha, it gives you a relation in alpha and x.
Yes, sir. So alpha and x.
Tan alpha and x equation is what you want to get, because you can write tan alpha as dy by dx.
Yes, sir.
And then you can use that differential equation to find the other trajectory.
Yes. However, our motive was anyways r, but we can find the equation.
So expression for radius of curvature, how would it do it?
Expression for radius of curvature means, you mean to say this expression?
Yes, sir.
I'll just show you. That's actually a mathematical formula. It's a mathematics formula. Like in mathematics, I think you get to learn that. But I think we use that in physics also sometimes. Because if your curvature trajectory is known, then like you can use that formula. Okay, suppose we take a curve like this. Okay, so this is a curve in xy plane, and I'm taking a small section of this curve. And center of curvature for this small section is here. Okay, this point is center of curvature. So I'll join like this. The length of this element is dl. Okay, so suppose angle slope of the line, slope of the curve has changed from alpha to alpha plus d alpha. It's alpha here and this is alpha plus. Okay. Slope of the curve has changed from alpha to alpha plus d alpha. Okay, now this angle here, this angle that we like to have. Okay, the angle that is subtended by this small curve at this point. Okay. Angle subtended by the small curve at this point, that we can take as d alpha, because d alpha is a very small angle. Okay, so now since the angle subtended at center is d alpha, so we can say that if radius of curvature is RC, now this length has to be radius of curvature. So radius of curvature into d alpha should be equal to d alpha. RC into d alpha. Okay, here you can write dl. You can write dl as dx square plus dy. Okay. dl can be considered as dx square plus dy square whole square. So this is also same as dx into root over 1 plus dy by dx whole. So dl can be written as dx into root over 1 plus dy by dx whole square. But 1 plus d, this is you can write RC into d alpha is equal to dx into root over 1 plus dy by dx. Okay, right. Now what we can do is we have d alpha by dx. What is d alpha by dx? Now d alpha here, alpha is basically the angle that this line makes to the x-axis, the angle that it makes to the x-axis, the curve makes to the x-axis. Okay. Now you know tan alpha is dy by dx. We will differentiate this expression with respect to x. If you differentiate this with respect to x, you will get secant square alpha into d alpha by dx should be equal to d square y by dx. If you differentiate this tan alpha dy by dx, we get secant square alpha into d alpha by dx. That should be equal to d square y by dx. So therefore, therefore you can write dx by d alpha, dx by d alpha or d alpha by dx, whichever way you want to write. Okay, so dx by d alpha will be secant square alpha by d square y by dx. So now your radius of curvature will be, it will be dx by d alpha into root over 1 plus dy by dx. Okay. Radius of curvature will be dx by d alpha into root over 1 plus dy by dx whole square. Okay. So dx by d alpha you can use this secant square alpha by d square over d square. So this will be nothing but the secant square alpha by d square over d square into root over 1 plus dy by dx. Okay, but what is secant square alpha? Secant square alpha is basically 1 plus tan square alpha. Okay, but tan alpha is also same as dy by dx. Okay, so therefore secant square alpha we can write as 1 plus dy by dx into root over 1 plus dy by dx by d square by dx. Okay, so this gives you the expression that I was showing you earlier. Okay, so we'll get radius of curvature from this as 1 plus dy by dx whole square, all power 3 by d square by dx. Okay, that comes out to be the expression we get for radius of curvature of a curve for which you know the derivatives and second derivatives.
Sir,
Yes.
sir, like in the when you are discussing this problem, sir, like we got an equation like T naught secant square alpha d alpha equal to lambda into dl into g, no, sir.
Yes.
Sir, so like there, why didn't we use dl equal to rc d alpha, sir? Just like what we did in this case.
Dl equal to rc into
D alpha.
rc into d alpha. No, see, d alpha there is angle subtended at center. Okay. You could consider rc into d alpha even there also. In fact, if you consider the center of curvature to be at some point, for that element you can take rc into d alpha. You will get rc at that particular point from that.
Okay, sir. Yes.
Yeah, you can do that even there also, because it's not wrong in doing that there, because as we are doing it here.
Okay, sir.
Is it here? Any doubts in this?
No, sir.
Okay. So any other doubts, like if you have, you can like share or you can ask.
Sir, there is one question, sir. Between two fixed points, he has given one rope, sir.
Okay.
And then there is some spider which is always going, like some object is always going towards the end, towards one point.
Okay.
It is similar to this type of, like the question which we did right now, but that is also not coming like easily. I
Okay.
don't have the exact question. I'll send you like tomorrow or like.
Yeah, you can send me in WhatsApp also.
Yes.
Pencil.
Yes. Tell me.
Sir? Sir?
Yes.
Sir, one doubt, sir.
Yeah. Tell me.
Sir, like, can you draw one sphere, sir?
Okay.
Sir, now this is the Earth, sir.
Okay.
Sir, so like one particle is projected vertically upwards, sir.
From where?
Sir, from the top of the Earth, sir. Like you can assume the top of the Earth and
Somewhere on the sphere, it is projected vertically upwards.
yes, sir. Yes, sir. Like normal to the surface, normal to the tangent, sir.
Yeah, normal to surface.
Sir, and then another particle is projected along the tangent, sir.
At the same point.
Yes, sir. At the same point, sir.
Along the tangent. Same velocity.
1 second. Yes, sir. Same velocity, sir.
Okay.
Sir, so they are asking questions about like will the, how will the particle strike the ground? Like will they strike at same times or different times? And about the heights of the particle. Like that
Will it strike at same point or different point, and about the height of?
Yes, sir. Like at the same time or different times, sir. Of strike.
Okay, same time or okay? Will they strike the Earth simultaneously or at different times?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
What is the velocity given? With what velocity it is projected?
No, sir. Like it's only mentioned that they are projected with same velocity, sir.
Okay. Now, what I'm trying to ask here is the velocity comparable to escape velocity, or it is something like 10 meters per second or 20 meters per second, which is a very low value?
Sir, actually, that is not mentioned in the question, sir.
Okay. See, if the velocity is very less, okay, then the particle will not move to a great height from the surface of Earth. Then
Yes.
it would not make much difference whether you're projecting at an angle or you're projecting it vertically upwards. In fact, the initial velocity will matter in that case. If both are projected with same initial velocity, of course, the angle of projection will matter. One which is projected with an angle theta equal to 90 degrees will take a longer time to come back to ground, just like a normal projectile.
Yes, sir.
Okay. But if you are considering it to be a higher velocity, something comparable to like orbital velocity and all that. Okay. So then in that case, the trajectory can be elliptical.
Okay.
If the velocity is less than escape velocity, trajectory will be elliptical only, and it will it could be following a trajectory like this.
Okay, sir.
It can be a possible trajectory for this particle. Okay.
The question is sent on group, sir. Like, can you check once?
The question is?
I have sent on the WhatsApp, sir.
Okay.
Yes.
I think it is similar to what we have discussed there, but only thing is we have to consider that the shape of the thread also can change.
Yes, sir. But like this in the previous question which we did, the shape was constant. Also.
Yeah, there because the thread we have considered that that small bead which is moving in the thread, no, it is having negligible mass. Whereas here, I think he's talking about a spider which is actually moving around the thread, but that spider's mass is not negligible.
Yes, sir.
So due to its force of gravity, it will cause deformation in the thread.
Yes, sir. But then how?
Thread will not be straight; it will get deformed because of that.
Yes, sir.
So that's why he's asking. Otherwise, trajectory is just going to be a straight line. If you don't take into account deformation of the string or the thread, it should just be a straight line.
Yes, sir. So, what, like, how do we do about this question? Do we?
Yes, so like at any general position, like X or something, you can take. You can consider at that position by taking force equations, weight of the spider, and also the elastic forces which are acting at both the ends, because
Yes.
both sections of the string will produce elastic forces. Okay, so those three forces will balance: elastic forces and weight, which is acting.
Yes, but then the two angles will be made by the string, sir, where the spider is there.
Yeah.
Then how do we say at what rate those two angles are changing, sir? We can't say that one is alpha and the other is alpha plus d alpha.
No, but if we assume that the spider is moving very slowly, okay,
Yes.
then at some general position we can try to relate those two angles with the distance x.
Oh, okay, yes,
Which
sir.
spider has to
Because
plot along the thread.
yes, sir, yes. Because the distance between the two walls should be constant.
Yes, that is one constraint we can use.
Yes.
And elastic constants also he gave. He gave k elastic constant for the string.
Yes.
So the force acting we can relate to that.
Yes. Sir, but should we take tension is same in both the parts of the string, sir? It won't be same.
Tension, the tension force will act on either sides. Actually, they will exert on each other.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And the tension forces acting, exerting on each other, that should balance the weight which is acting.
But should we take the? I don't know.
We'll have to assume that the surface is also rough and there is sufficient friction that the spider doesn't slide.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Because
But
the
we can't
spider
assume that both tensions will be same, sir, in magnitude.
Yeah, that we cannot. On each side, we will not get same tensions.
Yes.
Different we will get. That will depend upon position of the the spider with respect to the part. Okay, just try once. I'll check once what we can do.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Sir, in the question of
Yes.
in the question of the
Ask.
You are asking something? Yeah.
Sir, in the group, there was a question of rotating a ring with the finger, no, sir.
What about that?
Can you explain the starting part on the board once again?
Starting part means?
The relation between angular displacements of finger and ring.
Okay. We'll discuss that in the next session. I think we'll stop the session here after discussing this.
Okay.
So here we have what you were saying, that there are two particles projected in different directions. In this case, we can say that the particle is moving tangentially, and as it is moving tangentially, so it will more likely to follow a elliptical path. It could be something like this, because the reason I'm saying it could be this way is this point will be the one of the minimum or maximum separations from the center.
Okay, sir.
Because here it is velocity is tangential. Because otherwise in an ellipse you will normally find that at any general point you'll find that the velocity vector will make some angle with the radial line. The angle will not be 90. Angle will be 90 only at two positions, at extremum positions, at minimum or maximum positions, which are going to be exactly opposite to one.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So if it is projected tangentially, this has to be one of the extremum positions. It has to be minimum or the maximum position.
Yes.
Okay. I'm not saying that it has to be this way only. It can even be this way also. The trajectory may be like this. It could be something else. Okay, where these are the minimum and maximum.
Yes.
Another possibility is that if the particle is projected vertically, then it will move straight and return back to the same point. But time taken for it to return back, like we have to find by using the calculating the acceleration at any general distance. Any general distance from the center, we can calculate acceleration. And then integrating that, we can find velocity as function of x. And then again integrating that velocity as function of x, you can find what is time taken. Okay, so time taken to return back, we can find using that. Okay, whereas for this thing, what we have to do is we have to find, if at all it returns back to some point over here, it could be a part of an ellipse. And so in that case, we cannot definitely say that they will take same time only to return back to the surface of Earth. Because this could be a part of an ellipse and some part of an ellipse for which the time could be different.
Yes.
And compared to the time taken by this to move all the way to the side.
Yes. Sir, will the particle which is projected tangentially, will stop momentarily at any point, sir?
No.
No, sir.
Stopping momentarily cannot happen for that particle because the particle is projected perpendicular to radial direction. So
Yes,
all the time during motion, it will have both components of velocity, radial component as well as perpendicular component. So even though radial component becomes zero, the other component of velocity will not be zero.
Okay, sir.
If it is projected only radially, then it will go only radially only. It will not have like velocity in any other direction.
Yes, sir. Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
So for the particle which is projected tangentially, will the center of the sphere be one of the focus of the ellipse, or we cannot say anything about
it?
It
will be one of the focus. Center will definitely be one of the focus.
So how are we able to directly conclude that the center will be one of the foci of the elliptical path?
See, because of motion of any particle which is moving around a planet or around sun, if you consider, they are either elliptical or circular.
Yes, sir. But how? Why is the focus?
See, actually, mathematically, the equation of trajectories can be derived actually by using some like mathematical concepts which we don't study much. Okay, that it can be actually shown that also the trajectory is elliptical. Okay, for any particle which is moving under the influence of gravitational force. And when you try to show that the trajectory is elliptical by using the fundamental gravitation principles, it also turns out that the position of like sun or earth about which any satellite is moving happens to be the focus for that ellipse.
Okay, sir.
Okay, so mathematically it can be shown, right? That yes, the point, the center of that force, because we are considering actually a central force here. Gravitational force is a central force, and central force, there is a point where the force always acts. Okay, and that point happens to be a focus of the ellipse for the elliptical trajectory.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
In fact, this is in accordance to the first Kepler's law, because according to first Kepler's law, the trajectory is found to be ellipse, and where sun is found to be one of the focus. So the same is true even if you consider a planet and a satellite moving around, because the same principle, gravitational principles, are followed there also.
Fine, sir. Thank you, sir. Understood, sir.
Okay, right. So we will close the discussion for today here, and we'll continue in the next session.
Thank you, sir.